You're listening to Fathers Handling Business, where fatherhood meets real talk and real solutions. Here are your hosts, Donté Witherspoon and Dwyan Marsh, ready to dive deep into the art and science of parenting. Let's get started and empower the dad in you.
What's going up? What's going up? Welcome to another episode of Fathers Handling Business. I am your host, Dwyan Marsh, with my co-host here,
Donté Witherspoon.
Donté Witherspoon. Today we're going to talk about building strong family relationships. So there's many things that you can do to strengthen your family, especially when it comes to boys, 'cause I have boys, but not just boys, but just the family dynamic in general. So let's talk about some traditions and some rituals that we can do to strengthen our family bond. So go ahead. What's some of the things that you have?
I mean, let's start from the beginning, like from as far as you can remember. Mm-hmm. And I know that we're both men of faith. Mm-hmm. What did we do growing up on Sunday mornings?
Well, my Sunday mornings started off with praise and worship music blasting and my mom coming in my room singing and waking me up early. Mm-hmm. And so that's how every Sunday morning started out for me. And then, yes, we got up and went to church.
Yep. So same here. Family was heavily involved and I'm gonna go back to, I know it was before I was 7. I gave my life to the Lord when I was 7 years old. So definitely in church prior to that. I remember going to church with my aunt and my cousin. Mm-hmm. And it was my mom and I. And I remember going to Sunday school. Mm-hmm. So it was just a regular thing. It was just what we did. And that was something that I would say built a strong bond within the family unit. And at the time, my mom was a single mom. Mm-hmm. My aunt was a single mom. So They were kind of just like raising their 2 kids together.
Mm. Yeah. Togetherness is a big thing. Even if you're a single mom, having a tribe, having a village, they say,
yes,
to help raise your child. And if you don't have family or village, then, church is a great way to have an extended family. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for my family, there was a lot of siblings. So my mom is one of 9. My grandfather is one of 15, I believe. And so I actually had a chance to interview one of his cousins who was born in 1942. Okay. And her sister who was born in 1947. Okay. And so they were telling me like they all depended on each other. They all went to each other's houses. The parents sent the kids, to this person's house over the summer, this person's house. And, they all just kind of stuck together. You kind of when you saw one, you saw them all. Right. And then I interviewed my uncles and aunts. Right. And so they kind of said the same thing, know, and I'm a testament to that because when I was growing up, I went to my cousin's house. Like I'm one of like 32 cousins, right? First cousins, 32 first cousins. And I'm tight with pretty much all my cousins because we grew up, together. Right. Like I have a relationship. I won't say that I'm tight with all of them, but I have a relationship with all of my cousins because, I went to each one of my uncle's houses over the summers as growing up. Like I remember being in Indiana at my uncle's house, watching the finals and being mad because O.J. Simpson was running through the streets. That's like one of my fondest memories, just being at my uncle's house watching basketball with them on the big screen TV, which was like 13 inches back then. It was the only TV in the house. But, just having those things, like growing up with all my cousins. I just came back from Chicago.
Okay.
I was gone for a minute, but just hanging out with my cousins and, like it just feels like home, you know? So we have a very strong family bond because of those things that were put in place by our ancestors, above us, and just building that village, like no matter what. My mom was a single mom, but it really didn't feel like that because I always had uncles around. My grandfather was around. I had godparents. Like it didn't feel like I was alone or growing up in a single family. So it's all about making sure that you can use the people around you, use your resources to help with the child rearing. Yeah.
So, I mean, like that is a true testament of, having a village or a tribe. Like it was your extended family. And 32 first cousins, that's a lot. That is a lot of first cousins.
It's a lot of first cousins. Yeah.
Okay. So as far as my family, so a lot of my family, both my mom and my dad, they were born in Cleveland, Ohio. So a lot of our family, they're still out there. When my mom and dad came to Cali, they came to Cali. They tried to reconcile their marriage. It didn't work. My dad stayed in LA. My mom and I went to the Bay, and that's where my aunt and cousin were.
Yeah.
And so we were there for a minute, and I want to say my dad, he had, three brothers, no sisters.
Okay.
And my mom, she had two sisters and two brothers, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, and a lot of them, actually all of them stayed in the Cleveland area, and just one aunt moved out to the Bay.
Okay.
One aunt passed away, and so not as big as your family.
Right.
And then just the distance. So I didn't see a lot of my cousins. I saw one cousin growing up for most of my life. Just one cousin. And if I wanted to see any of my other cousins, I was traveling because none of them would travel out to California.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to have an aunt and an uncle that lived in San Diego. So I had those cousins.
Okay.
Most of my family is from Chicago. So most of my cousins are in Chicago. But my cousins from Chicago, they used to come out here.
Okay.
They stayed with us, with me and my mom, for a summer, when we got into trouble, So, like I said, not all of my cousins, but, we just had that strong family bond, which is cool. So what are the things that, you've carried on to your kids to strengthen your family bond?
I would say one of the biggest things was having a village within the church community. So from birth, I would say from birth all the way up until maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were always in church. Okay. Pretty much every Sunday. I worked at a church as an associate pastor, so we had to be there. True. At least I had to be there.
Right.
And so we were always at church. And then we started developing different family traditions. And so one of the ones that we developed over time, over the last, I would say, year, is kind of like having home church and having church at home, just with our immediate family, and having time diving into the Word. And it's not like they're a little bit older now, so almost 9, almost 12, and so yep, and just the ability for them to know more in depth of God's word. So that's one family tradition that we started. Another one is having family meetings every other Sunday. So I have them every other weekend. And so, you know, we have those family meetings every other Sunday. It gives them an opportunity to have a voice and just share what's going on in their life. And then bring up anything that they have issues with inside the house. So that's always important too, because I want them to know that they have a voice, even as a child, to express what they're feeling, you know, their likes and dislikes, and then we could talk about it. We could have a conversation about it.
Right. That's dope. One of the things that I implemented with my boys when they were growing up, we used to call it man trips.
Okay.
So we would go away for a weekend, maybe to Palm Springs or something, and we would just hang out, you know, just do man stuff. And it was a great way to strengthen our bond, you know, just have memories, you know. We invited one of my boys and his son one year. Okay. And we went out there and we just, you know, having fun at the pool and just, you know, playing ball and just, you know, hanging out and really just having that male bonding time, you know, with the sons, you know. One year I actually drove from California to Chicago.
With your sons?
With my sons.
Oh, man. How old?
And they were all teenagers. Like they were like my oldest son. So what we did was we stopped at a few places. So we stopped in Arizona. Okay. We stopped in OKC and we stopped in Kansas. And my oldest son was thinking about going to Kansas. So we actually did a college tour. Nice. So he was in 11th grade.
Kansas or K-State?
Kansas Jayhawks.
Okay. Yeah, Kansas. Okay.
Yeah, Jayhawks. We was in Lawrence, Kansas. So yeah, we did like a college tour, you know, on the trip. So yeah, so that was what, 11th grade, 10th grade, and like, I don't know, 7th or 8th grade. Okay. So they were big.
Did he like the trip?
I mean, did he like the college tour? Or did they like the? Yeah, I mean,
tour.
The college tour was dope. I mean, it was a huge campus. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And so, you know, a lot of great basketball players came from there. So at that time, he really wanted to play basketball. So it was very eye opening for him. Like I said, when we stopped at OKC, this was when Paul George was playing for OKC. So we went up there. It was the summertime, so there was no hooping games, but we did go to the arena. And, you know, just checked out the city and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, just having those type of trips, you know, having those type of experiences, you know, whether they remember them or not, you know what I'm saying? They're in their psyche. Like, you know, these are the things. We even got stopped by the police. You know, we had that situation, you know, where, and I knew it too. I knew it because we were hype, not gonna lie. And it was the end of the night. I think this was in OKC. This was in Oklahoma. It was almost the end of the night. I had picked out a hotel for us to stop in, right? And we were almost at the hotel. And so we were actually in the city.
They saw those Cali plates.
And we were, I don't know, getting hyped because we was about to get off the road. So we had the music going, we was jumping, and my son was in the, you know what I'm saying? He was doing all that. And then we passed like 2 state troopers. And I was like, they about to stop us. I was like, we just look too hype in here. And sure enough, they did. And he tried to get me for, you know, you have to put your signal on 150 feet before you swerve the lane. I was like, all right, my bad. You know, but you know, at first he didn't believe they was my sons, but you know, once they see my ID, they're like, oh, okay, all right.
Wait. Don't skip over this part.
What?
We got to embrace this part. Why didn't he believe they were your sons?
Because the sons looked old. I don't look that old.
You got the baby face.
Yeah. I praise God every day, that, I'm able to maintain no grays yet. Well, I got one gray here, like right here. One coming in.
One gray.
One gray.
Can you believe this?
At 42, about to be 43. So I praise God. But it's neither here nor there. So it was just a fun field trip. They got to see the Chicago family, hang out with them, all that kind of stuff. We went a different way on the way back. We stopped in Denver.
Okay.
And, we just made a whole trip of it. But all that to say, having those type of man trips are something that, strengthen our bond as, father, son, and just being able to see things and do things. Now, I know everybody is not able to take that time.
Right.
Like I said, I had a business at the time. And so I was able to take a week off, take some time off to just do that. But what are some things that we can do just on a daily or on a weekly? I really like your idea of the every other Sunday. Mm-hmm. I have the meeting, the family meeting. Yeah. I think that's super dope. I think one of the things that's really simple that people can do is dinner time.
Yeah.
One meal.
Yeah. Dinner time. Yeah. I mean,
like, how important is that? Like, as a therapist, like, how important is that to just have that one meal?
So, eating together, a lot of people don't eat together anymore. We like, if you have kids and they're in sports, 9 times out of 10, like, you're just on the go. You're eating on the go a lot, right?
Facts.
And so they got practices at night. They got homework. They got all these things they got to do. And so it's very rare that you will have your traditional that everybody, is sitting at the table eating all together.
Right.
But I think you're right. Like, it is very important to have at least one sit down meal a week where you guys are all there. If both parents are in the house, that's amazing. Have both parents, eating at the table with all the kids. And
no phones,
no TV, and no TV.
No TV, right.
And just have conversations, asking about, how their day was or how they're doing. Like, that's when a lot of stuff, that you may not know is going on in their lives comes up.
Right. Right.
A lot of times kids, like, sometimes they internalize a lot of what they're feeling, and they don't want to burden their parents because they see their parents working hard, or they see their parents, their parents have a lot going on in their life. And so they don't want to burden their parents. But that's an opportunity to ask, like, your kids, like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, what's, and be very specific with the question, like, what was your favorite part of today? What was your least favorite part of today?
Aha. Yeah. I was just about to say, because kids are funny. Kids are really good at deflecting. Mm-hmm. So, how was your day? Oh, it was good. It was good. Nah, bruh. What does that mean?
Yeah. Why was it good?
Yeah. How was it good? Why was it good? What happened? Like, you have to really probe and those questions. Like, my mom used to get on me on that all the time, and I got on my kids the same way. Like, Now you're not getting away with just saying it was good. Like, What was good about it? What would you like about it? Like you said, what did you learn today? That was my go-to. Like, what did you learn today? What did you and your friends talk about today at lunch? Like, you got to be really specific with the questions, because those questions, yes or no questions, are not the key.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or questions that they can give a one-word answer. You really want to start a dialogue and start a conversation, because most of the times, I mean, the kids will tell you whatever for the most part.
Yeah.
But if you don't ask, then
gotta have open-ended questions.
Yeah.
And allow them allow them to speak. Kids want to talk. Most kids, they want to talk. You've got your shy kids out there who don't want to really talk about anything, but most kids, they want to talk. They want to express their feelings.
Right.
They want to tell you what's going on. Mm-hmm. And so, asking those, being very intentional in the questions that you ask is very important.
They just need an opportunity, really.
Yeah.
They just need an opportunity to open their mouth, and then it's
Yep, absolutely. Another way to get kids to open up, in the car. They feel less threatened especially if it doesn't matter if they're in the front seat to the side of you or in the back seat behind you, they feel less threatened if they're not face to face and you're looking them in the eye. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
interesting.
If you can have conversations in the car, whether that be a 10-minute or a 40-minute car ride, depending on where you live and where you're going, turn the music off. Like, you don't need the music on. You don't need a podcast on. You don't need an audiobook on. If you have your kids in the car, have a conversation with your kids. You only have your kids for a very short amount of time. 18 years is very short. And if they don't live in your house full time, like my kids, where I already get them only half the time, like, you have a very short time or a very short window in which you can spend with them, have influence over them, because they're going to be out in the world and they're going to leave pretty soon. Like, 18 years is it goes by very fast.
And also, 18 years, okay? So we all kind of grew up, or you and I grew up in the era where it was like, once you're 18, get up out my house, right? So what do we feel about that? Or what do you feel about that? I'm going to tell you what I feel. I feel like they sold us a lie. Like being 18 and just going out into the world just because you're 18 is not smart, in my opinion. Okay. You know, now,
well, elaborate.
If you're going off to college, okay, like that makes sense. Okay, you're going to live in a dorm, you're going to a structured environment, you're going to learn, you're going to et cetera, et cetera. But if I'm not necessarily going to college or if I'm not going away to school, there's really no reason to kick a child out or kick a person out at 18 just because they're 18. Now, if you have set them up correctly and they are about to get married, you know what I'm saying? And you have a house for them to go into and, you know, because a good man leaves up an inheritance for his children's children, right? Yeah. But his children first, right? Yeah. So it would be dope if, you know, we all in our generation, we was like, okay, cool. Like when you turn 18, I got this house for you. You know what I'm saying? And you're able to step into that, but that's just not reality, right? So most people are not prepared, right? To go out into the world and just be. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because now they have to figure out how to be an adult while trying to figure out what they're doing with their life. And it's just like, why put on that extra hurt, extra stress for the kid?
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought this up, because becoming an adult doesn't start at a certain number, right? It doesn't start at 18. Like, I think like our society as a whole has all that mixed up. Like you can go to war at the age of 18, but you can't gamble, right? Can you buy a lottery ticket at 18 in Cali? No. Is it 21?
It's 18.
Is it 18?
I believe. I don't know.
I don't think it is. I'm trying to think. No, because you can't go in the casinos.
Well, that's because the casinos have alcohol, though.
No. Is it?
I don't know. That's
okay. So, yeah, you can go to war, but you can't have a drink.
Right. like, just not to cut you off, but when I was in Europe, they can start drinking at 16.
Okay, yeah, younger, right?
Yeah, they can start drinking at 16. So, I mean, even biblically, Jewish people have bar mitzvahs at 12.
I was just about to say, they drinking wine early.
They were drinking wine, and they were actually, there was no school, there was no high school, there was no adolescence. That's a fairly new thing, adolescence. They just went to work, right? They went to work on their father's farm, or they went to work in their father's business.
Okay, so that right there, that is setting them up. So when we talk about leaving an inheritance for your children's children, I don't believe that's talking about like setting them up with money or a house. Okay. I think leaving an inheritance for your children's children is setting them up with the ability to earn their own house, earn their own money.
But how do you do that?
so it begins with teaching. So
teaching what though?
Teaching whatever it is your trade. So like, for instance,
so having a business to leave them a business,
or not even that, like just teaching them how to run a business. So like, let's say,
how do you teach them how to run a business if you don't have a business?
Well, let's talk trade. So there's a bunch of trade schools out there, right?
Correct.
So let's talk mechanics, for example.
Okay.
If a father works as a mechanic at a car shop,
okay,
he can teach his, son or daughter, the tricks and the trades of how to work on a car. And just because the father doesn't own his own mechanics business, doesn't mean that his kids can go out and, earn their own money and then one day own their own business. Like, you don't have to have your own business, but the key is teaching them the tricks in the trade, right?
Okay.
And so, because a lot of times, like in today's society, well, they're getting away from it now, but when we were growing up, it's like, you got to go to school, you got to get a degree, you have to do all these things. Yeah. School. They just shove school down their throats. But that's not the case anymore. And we have people like Zuckerberg who, prove that false narrative.
I mean, it never really was the case. That's just what the narrative was, for sure.
It is about teaching them, something.
Skills.
Some type of skill set.
Right.
And it starts with like giving them responsibilities at a very young age. Like, even like, as soon as a kid learns how to walk and talk, like, then it should be the teaching from the parents. From the parents, the teaching shall begin. Right. The Bible tells us to train up a child in the way they should go. Right. And that's in all facets of life. Like, we should not depend on schools and teachers to teach our kids about everything there is to know about life. Like, yeah, maybe certain subjects like math and science and all that stuff, but like, there are so many different life lessons that we as fathers and mothers out there can teach their kids about life.
Right.
And that's where I think the adulthood starts, like the process of becoming an adult starts at a very young age, because you're teaching them.
It does, but all of it is theory until they actually do it, right? So, for instance, my oldest son, he actually moved in with me when he was 18. Instead of, me kicking him out, he moved from his mom's house and he was like, yo, and he came to live with me. And, I was able to teach him firsthand about adulthood, about opening up a credit card. And like, he had a bank account. Like, I set him up with a bank account at 16, but it was different because he didn't have his own, he wasn't making his own money.
Okay.
Right. Like, he was earning money, like he would do chores or whatever and blah, blah, blah. And he'd get a little bit here and there, but it's different from earning hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Seeing that in your bank account and it's like, woo, so it's like, what can I do with this? And so just him being able to learn those type of things, learning just how to drive, not just how to drive, but actually how to navigate, and be at certain places at certain times, responsibility, just all that kind of stuff. And, he was able to, so in my opinion, kicking kids out at 18 without a plan. Right.
Yeah.
For off the simple fact that they are 18. So now you got to get out of my house type of situation.
Right.
Is that was a lie. You know what I'm saying? Like that just wasn't. And I know, I'm a kid who, as soon as I left house at 17. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I was out because I wanted to be out because I thought that I was being restricted, at my mom's house, so I was like, yo, I'm out here.
Was Mom Duke strict?
Yeah. Oh yeah, my mom was strict.
Same.
My mom was super strict. Yeah, she was super strict. That's all I'm gonna say on that. She was super strict, but she was super cool. But she joked a lot, but she wasn't playing. Which is crazy. Which is crazy to say. She joked a lot, but she wasn't playing. But
No, I get it.
So
I understand.
People know. But yeah, so just being able to, I know we just kind of went off on a tangent. That's not even what we was talking about, but kicking the kid out at 18 just because they're 18 is it's not the way to go. Teaching them, now if you've prepared them for 18 and they're about to go into something that's super dope, or they're making money, making their own money, being able to do that, then that's great. So let's talk about how to set and enforce boundaries with our children.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that we can do to set and enforce boundaries when it comes to children?
And I think a lot of it depends on the family dynamic, right?
Okay.
In every household, there's a different, people are raised different. Like, I grew up in a very strict household growing up. Mm-hmm. It's probably very similar to your household, but like, there's a lot of things that I could not do. A lot of things that my friends were able to do, I could not do.
Facts.
I could not say. I could
Facts.
And so when you grow up and then you have your own kids, it's like, all right, like, I want to set, my own rules for my kids, and they'll, you take some of what you experienced as a kid, because you're like, all right, yeah, I like this. Mm-hmm. It worked for me. I understand now as an adult why I had these boundaries and parameters set. Mm-hmm. And then there's somewhere like, nah, that was too over the top. Like, I'm gonna have a little leeway here, because I remember when I was a kid and I didn't get to do this, or, So I think it depends on the family dynamic, how you grew up, and then what you accepted, and then what you didn't accept as.
So what do you think about yelling?
Ooh.
Why say it like that? I'm just
because, man, like that one hits hard.
Okay.
All right, so
okay.
I grew up with my mom always yelling.
Okay.
Always yelling. And then my ex-wife grew up where her mom was, single mom. She was always yelling. She had 2 boys and my ex-wife. And so when you get 2 kids who grew up in households that their parents yelled, mm-hmm. What do you think you're naturally going to do when you have kids? Naturally.
Right.
So unless you're intention, so we yelled. And I'll give a quick little story. We didn't even realize we were yelling until I want to say like maybe 3 or 4-year-old son started yelling at our 1-year-old daughter.
Dang.
And we looked at each other and we're like, oh, that's on us.
Right.
Like
100%.
That was learned behavior from us.
Right.
And so it was not easy. I'm going to tell you this right now. It was not easy to not yell, mm-hmm. Because it was what we knew.
Right.
It was what we knew. But now, fast forward, what was that? He was 3 or 4. And now he's about to be 12. So now fast forward 7, 8 years. It's been a journey, but it's something that I've tried to work on. And now being with my current partner and just how she was raised and how like she's helped me become a better dad. And just like
so I just want to back up for a second. So my question really is, what do you think about yelling? Like what is it? Why did you feel like you needed to stop yelling?
I feel like it's emotionally damaging.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
It's emotionally damaging. Okay. Now, to piggyback off of that, emotionally damaging, and from a marriage and family therapist who said this. Okay. What about cussing at the child?
Same.
Okay.
I feel like it's emotionally damaging, and then you're also teaching them, behaviors that they're then going to use outside, either inside the house or outside the house when you're not looking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So my mom never cussed at me, right? Mm-hmm. she wasn't a yeller. My mother wasn't a yeller, but she was like I said, she was super strict, but she would do it with a straight, calm face, right. Which, like I said, was
probably worse.
But I remember the one time that she did yell at me, and she was so mad, and then she cussed at me, and she said, "Damn it, Dwyan." Man, I cried for about a week, bro.
Really?
Yeah. And I was
how old were you?
I was like 15. I had never heard my mom cuss ever.
And that's all she said?
That's all she said. But to me, that was the most damaging thing. Like, I remember that day. I remember her face. I remember her face. I remember, like, she kind of came at me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wanted to, tag me a little bit. Yeah. But I was bigger than her at that time. So, she wasn't trying to come at me. But maybe I was like 13, but I was a teenager for sure.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever heard my mom cuss, and she was cussing at me. And maybe it was the way that she said it more than what she said, but I'm 43 years old, and I remember that. Like, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it very much emotionally, I don't know about damaged me, but it emotionally touched me.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? To where I'm like, man, like, I must have really made my mom that mad and that hurt that she would cuss at me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and I never, ever heard her cuss. You know what I'm saying? So it was...
Right, so question.
Go ahead.
Have you yelled and or cussed at your boys?
I've never cussed at my kids.
Okay.
I have yelled at them. And so when I yell, it's to make a point. Right.
Or is it is it sometimes to get their attention as well?
Get their attention. Yeah. That's what I mean. I have yelled at them purposely to get their attention. Like just raise my voice, like, hey, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
To get their attention so that they understand that I'm not playing right now.
Right.
Because I'm strict, but I play a lot. I'm like my mom. Like, I play a lot. I joke a lot with my kids. You know what I'm saying? So when I need them to understand that I'm serious, I'll raise my voice. But I don't know if well, maybe they do, but I don't remember a time. Because when I tell my mom that story, she doesn't remember it, right?
She was probably so, like, enraged.
Yeah, exactly.
She probably, like, sometimes when you get so mad, you kind of black out and you don't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so she doesn't remember it. So maybe my kids remember a time where I yelled at them, but I know I never cussed at them.
Okay.
I never ever cussed at them. And I try to make it a point not to yell at them.
Yeah. That's good. That's really good. But also think about the example that you had.
Right.
Like, a lot of the stuff that we naturally do as parents is what we experienced. Now, sometimes there are some kids who are...
I'm just interject here.
Yeah,
I grew up with my godmother as well, and she was a yeller.
Okay.
She was a screamer.
Okay.
Yeah. But...
Cusser too, or no?
Yeah, she was a cusser. Oh, yeah. She would say all type of... I'd be like... Oh. But that didn't faze me because that's who she was. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I wasn't... When she yelled and cussed, it was just, oh, okay, that's just mom going off. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, let's just go in the room and just chill out. You know what I'm saying? So that was a little different. But to your point, it made me be like, I don't want to be like that.
And that was just what I was going to say. So, like, sometimes when there is a parent who's over the top, and a lot of times this happens with parents who are abusive, parents who they drink a lot and then they're abusive. Like, if a kid experiences that, a lot of times they're not going to want to be that type of parent to their kids. Sometimes they are that type of parent because that's what they
know.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy how things are learned when we're kids.
Yeah. I mean, I always say that, a son either wants to be exactly like his father or exactly the opposite of his father.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
Like, I never met my father, my biological father. So I don't know what he looks like. Never seen a picture of him. I only know his name. And so my whole life, when I had kids, I was like, my kids are going to know me You know,
right.
Like that was my whole intention. Like, y'all gonna have experiences with me. Y'all gonna know me. You're gonna be able to reach out to me if you need something. Like, you're just going to know who I am, no matter what happens. You know what I'm saying? With the mother, you're just gonna know who I am. So that was my intention. Like, I wanted to be the opposite of, you know, my example of my biological father. So, you know, and now I got 3 boys, and some of them want to be just like me, or some of them want to be just the opposite of me, you know what I'm saying? Based on their experience, you know? And so, and that's what it is, you know what I'm saying? So, our experiences, like you said, it's, what did you say? I think more is caught than taught.
More is caught than taught.
More is caught than taught. I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one. More is caught than taught. And so, you know, as children, you know, we kind of just gravitate towards whatever we either like or don't like. You know, we pick what we like and what we don't like. So, so instead of yelling, what are some effective communication techniques that we can employ?
Instead of yelling, and a lot of times we just mentioned, sometimes we'll yell to get their attention. Let's say you live in a 2-story house and you're, you know, sometimes you just gotta go the extra mile, and to get their attention, go upstairs or go downstairs, wherever your kids are at, and make sure you look them in the eye and communicate exactly what you want. So, and that's key too. Communicating what you want from your children is very important, as opposed to communicating what you do not want.
Yeah, we talked about that with Tyler's.
Right. So, and it goes, you know, it goes all the way until, you know, they're out of your house or whatever. I just feel like that's the best way to communicate.
Even when they're out your house.
Even when they're out your house, yes. Even when they're out your house. Like, communicate what you want, not what you don't want. And then make sure there's eye contact. Sometimes there can be touch, like, hey son, I really want to have a conversation with you about X, Y, and Z. And so, like, if you have that personal touch, you have that eye contact, then you know that they're listening. They can also know that you're serious. You say you like to play a lot, you know. So instead of yelling to get their attention, so they know that you're serious and not playing around, it could be as simple as like, hey, I want to sit down and have a conversation with you. Right, gotcha. And so just that little, and it's more work on the front end, but on the back end, it's gonna be way more beneficial. Right?
So you mean more work so it's easier to yell, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah, it's way easier. It's easier for me to yell upstairs, like you know, whatever you want them to do, as opposed to going. And then a lot of times they'll brush you off, or they'll say, "I didn't hear you." My kids do that all the time. Like, I didn't hear you. They heard me. They just didn't want to do what I said. So, but if I go upstairs and then, you know, have that conversation with them, they can't say they didn't hear me. They know that I'm serious and I want whatever done immediately. So it's just taking an extra step as parents. And then you negate the yelling and the frustration. And if you're a cusser, you don't have to cuss, you know. And I just think, like, there's a whole respect thing too. Like, a lot of times parents think like you're like kids like need to respect you because you're an adult. But if you want respect, you have to also give respect, like, and show what that looks like. So if you're not showing what respect looks like, then they're not going to know how to be respectful. So if you're constantly yelling and cussing, like, don't be surprised if they do that back to you at some point, you know?
Yeah. I agree with the part that you have to show them how to be respectful.
Yeah.
You know, but also, I would push back a little bit and say that you don't have to give respect to get respect, as far as children are concerned, or anyone is concerned. Really, you can give respect. Period.
Yeah.
You know, and I know as children are learning, they are learning from us. So yes, being able to teach them how to be respectful, right? So if you're saying respect your elders and you're disrespecting your mom or dad, you know what I'm saying? So they're going to be like, well, I'm respecting my elders, but look at you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
look
saying?
At the example I have.
Look at the example I have.
Yeah.
So yes, as a parent, you have to, but also, you know, I'm a big believer of, you know, you respect everyone. You know what I'm saying? And especially as a child, you respect all adults. Yeah. Even if you don't agree with them, you don't have to. Respecting someone doesn't mean that you agree with them. Right. You know what I'm saying? But you're respecting the position that they have. Like Donald Trump, we respect the position that he has. It doesn't mean that we respect
everything that he says.
Everything that he does. Not at all. But we respect the position that he has, right? Or that he had.
That's for, I feel like that's for anybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's for anybody. But I was just going to the point where you were saying like you have to give respect to get respect. And I don't necessarily agree with that because you can give respect without getting respect. I've been disrespected before, you know, but I still give respect because I'm gonna love you with the love of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to disrespect you just because you're disrespecting me, right? Like, that's just how I do things. That's just me.
Okay.
But when we're talking about children and getting them the discipline part. Now let's circle back to the discipline part of the children, right? And when it comes to the partners, right? So you
like our ex-partners.
Yeah, so you have an ex-partner because you're divorced now. I'm divorced as well. And so you have a new partner, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so how does the discipline come in when the new partner is trying to discipline the ex-partner's offspring?
Yeah, so it's my current partner, it was very, very difficult because she didn't want to step on any toes. She didn't want the kids not to like her.
Right. But that's good though. That shows that she cares.
Yes.
Shows that she cares.
But at the same time, I wanted to empower her to be able to have a voice. Like I didn't want her voice to shrink in this family dynamic, and it's like, well, only my dad has a say, according to the kids. Well, I wanted them to be respectful, right? And I wanted my partner to have a voice. So if she says something, or if she says that she needs something from the kids, or for the kids to stop doing something, they need to listen. As it like no different than if it was me saying it, right? And so it took a little while. It took a little while for her to feel comfortable.
Right. What's a little while? We talking months? We talking years?
I would say a good year.
Okay, it's not too bad.
I would say a good year, maybe a year and a half, because we didn't
like 18 months or so.
Yeah,
that's not too bad. It's about right.
Yeah, and now like they have an understanding. Like okay, like this is a mother figure, a parent, an adult, like coming in, caring, loving, doing all the things that a mom would do, right? And so, like, the respect needs to be there.
Correct.
So, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, and it's all about communication. And so she's really good with communicating. She's not a yeller. She is not physical with the kids, like none of that. So, yeah, that's how discipline is in our house. Speaking of like discipline, spare the rod, spoil the child. Discipline.
Yeah.
Growing up, how was discipline in your household?
As far as what I just told you, my mom was mad strict. What you mean? What do you mean?
Like corporal punishment, like.
Oh yeah. I got the belt. Mm-hmm. I got the whip pie. Mm-hmm. I got the whiplash. Yeah. So for me, it was. I usually got a belt and punishment.
Okay.
Punishment was a thing of the 80s that we used to. That everybody like, yo, can Tommy come outside? No, he on punishment. Yeah. Like you don't really hear that a lot anymore.
No.
But that was punishment was an actual what is it? A verb, a noun. It was a person, place, and thing. It was a thing. It was a noun. Like you on punishment. Oh yeah, you on punishment.
Yep. Like, yeah. Well, when you said that, it was like
you knew
exactly to answer the question. No, Tommy can't come out.
Right. Exactly.
He's it's pretty much you're grounded.
Grounded. Yeah. But it was called punishment.
Yeah, it was punishment for me.
Back in my day, it was called punishment.
You on punishment.
Yeah, you on punishment. So and when you on punishment, like
how long was your punishment?
No TV. No. Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember. I used to get on punishment a lot. Like I feel like most of my childhood, I was on punishment. You feel me? Like so. I ain't play a lot of video games when I was growing up, because I could only do 1 hour on the Nintendo anyway. Uh-huh. I don't remember if it was 1 hour a week or 1 hour a day. It's probably 1 hour a week, to be honest.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. So if I didn't have my 1 hour, then I was probably on punishment. You feel me? So that's why I never beat Super Mario, because I never put in the time. You know what I'm saying? I never had the time to do it. I still want to know how to beat Super Mario. But anyway, I don't know. Mine was probably like 2 weeks, something like that.
2 week punishment, no TV, no going outside. Like,
going outside.
Our moms used to talk then.
Yeah. No going outside. No going outside was the thing. It's so funny that now the punishment is going outside.
Is it?
Like if I send you outside, that's like a punishment now. No. Like my kids didn't want to go outside. They wanted to play on that iPad. They wanted to play on that Xbox. They wanted to do all of the technology things. Okay. They didn't want to ride their bikes. Like I had to make them go outside and ride their bike. Now going to the pool, that's something different. They love going to the pool.
Okay.
But other than that, if I was like, yo, just go outside and ride your bike, they're just like,
really?
What? You mean just ride up and down the street?
I used to love doing that.
That's what I'm saying. For us, that was the thing. Like we couldn't wait to go outside and never come back, or come back and get some water and then go back outside. But I'm talking about nowadays. Like my kids, they didn't. That was like a punishment to go outside.
So it's different in my household because my son would love. He loves riding his bike. Sometimes I have to tell him like, yo, you cannot just open the garage and get ghosts. Like you can't, like I didn't know where you were. Like you can't do that.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
so I like that. That's good. That's good. That's good to hear because you're the first person who I've heard say that has kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, man.
Like that I know anyway. Like my friends and the people I know, they all have the same issue. Like, yeah, they don't want to go outside. Like they'll go to the gym, play basketball. That's something different. But I'm talking about like just going outside to play.
Yeah.
Like go outside and play. Like that's just not really a sentence that is said a lot.
Yeah, no, he will. My daughter, not so much unless she knows that there's someone in the neighborhood that's out like playing.
Right.
She likes playing with dolls, so she can go in her room and play with her dolls. But electronics in my house, I feel like there's no time for it. Like with their sports and all that stuff. So I've recently started taking my son's phone as soon as I get him. I'm like, and I tell him like, yo, you're not in trouble, but you're with me. I know where you're at. You don't need a phone.
So you don't need a phone.
Yeah.
You don't need a phone, little homie.
Not at 11 years old, almost 12 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't have a phone until I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And I was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I take his phone when I get them, not because he's in trouble, and then I limit them on like iPad time or TV time.
Nice.
So, yeah, I feel like if you're not working on your craft, and his craft is baseball, like if you're not hitting off the tee or doing something that's going to help you become a better pitcher, then you gotta earn the others. You gotta earn the electronic time.
Speaking of, what happened to didn't y'all go to Cooperstown?
Not yet.
Oh, y'all didn't go to Cooperstown yet. Okay.
July.
Oh, July. Okay. And so he's still committed to baseball?
Still committed to baseball.
Okay. He recommitted it. He recommitted to baseball.
Yeah, well, it was me that had doubts that he wasn't committed. And
well, you said he was trying to get his hustle on, selling candy and stuff. What happened with that?
He's still doing that.
He's still hustling.
He's still hustling.
Still hustling after school.
He's still hustling candy.
Okay.
It's so funny you say that because he literally was like, "Can you take me to Costco so I can get it back?"
I got re-up, Pops. I got re-up.
Like legit.
I'm not mad at him though.
Legit. And then he had his sister helping him sort all the candy and then put them in different baggies. I'm like, what is going on?
Hey, my man, handling business. Son's handling business. I like it. Son handling business. I like it. Sure, man. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all mobbing with us today and vibing with us today. We had a good talk today about discipline and setting boundaries and strengthening family bonds within the relationship, within the family dynamic. So just want to thank y'all for checking us out. Leave some comments. Let us know if we tripping or if you agree with anything that we said or disagree.
Yeah, what's some of your family traditions?
Yeah, let us know some of the family traditions and things that y'all do to strengthen the bonds within your family. And we'll check y'all out next time. This is Fathers Handling Business. Peace.